Emily Harper vanished without a trace one chilly autumn night, leaving behind a daughter desperate for answers and a town gripped by fear. Mark Davis, the quiet neighbor everyone trusted, suddenly found himself accused of a crime no one could believe he'd commit. But as secrets unraveled, it became clear this was no simple disappearance. It was the beginning of a deadly game that would shock the world and expose a darkness lurking just beneath the surface. Who was really behind Emily's heartbreaking murder? And what terrifying truth were they willing to kill to protect? Emily Harper's life looked like a dream come true. To the outside world, she was the perfect mother, a talented artist, and a cherished member of a peaceful, close-knit community. Her days were filled with painting vibrant canvases that seemed to capture the very soul of the town she lived in, while her nights were spent in the warm glow of her cozy home, where her 8-year-old daughter played quietly nearby. Neighbors often admired the gentle smile she wore, a smile that seemed to promise safety and happiness. But in the days leading up to what would become the most shocking event the town had ever seen, that smile would vanish, replaced by a tension no one could explain. It all began with a night that felt like any other. The crisp autumn air was cool, and the streets were calm, lit only by the soft glow of street lamps. Emily's house, nestled at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, stood silent, but something was wrong. The usual sounds, Emily's laughter, the faint hum of music, the quiet footsteps of a child, were missing. When the morning light crept in, it revealed a chilling scene. Emily was gone. No signs of struggle were found inside the house. Her belongings remained untouched, and her car was nowhere in sight. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. The neighbors whispered nervously, piecing together small, unsettling details. Some claimed they saw a shadow moving near Emily's home the night before, but no one had dared to investigate. Others mentioned hearing a strange noise, like a door closing softly, but they had convinced themselves it was nothing. The police arrived quickly, but even their most experienced detectives found themselves at a loss. There were no clues, no fingerprints, no forced entry, no ransom note. The only hint was a single, small object left behind on Emily's kitchen table. A crumpled photograph of her daughter, with a strange symbol drawn faintly in the corner. What could it mean? Who had left it there? As the investigation unfolded, a deep unease spread through the town. People began to question everything they thought they knew about Emily's life. Friends who had once praised her kindness started to speak in hushed tones about strange phone calls she had been receiving, calls she never talked about. Some said they had seen her looking over her shoulder, as if afraid of being watched. But when asked, Emily brushed off these concerns with a fine smile, telling them she was fine. Yet the more the detectives looked, the more they realized Emily's life was not as simple as it seemed. Behind the happy artist's facade there were hidden shadows, secrets carefully tucked away from everyone's view. Her phone records revealed late-night messages sent to an unknown contact, messages that grew more desperate and fearful in the weeks before her disappearance. And then, a breakthrough came in the form of a witness, a jogger who had passed by Emily's street just hours before she vanished, spotting a dark figure standing near her home, watching silently. The identity of the figure was a mystery, adding a thick layer of tension and fear to the story. Was this person someone Emily knew? Someone she trusted? Or was it a stranger, a predator lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike? As the town held its breath, questions multiplied. Why would anyone want to harm Emily? What was she hiding that made her a target? And most chilling of all, where was she now? With every unanswered question, the story deepened, pulling everyone into a chilling puzzle that promised to reveal dark truths lurking just beneath the surface of a seemingly perfect life. The peaceful streets that once brought comfort now felt cold and threatening, as the mystery of Emily Harper's disappearance grew into a haunting nightmare that no one could have imagined. When the initial shock of Emily's disappearance began to fade, a new and darker reality emerged. one filled with secrets that no one in the town had expected. The investigators, determined to find answers, started peeling back the layers of Emily's life, and what they uncovered sent ripples of fear and confusion through the community. At first it seemed like a normal investigation, talking to friends, neighbors, and family, but soon the quiet, comfortable picture of Emily's life began to crack. A box of letters arrived at the police station, sent anonymously, each one filled with disturbing warnings and cryptic messages. The letters hinted at a threat looming over Emily. Words like "watch your back" and "they're coming," scribbled in hurried handwriting. No one knew who wrote them, and even more puzzling, Emily had never mentioned these threats to anyone close to her. As detectives dug further, they found that Emily's recent paintings had taken on a much darker tone. The vibrant, colorful landscapes were replaced by eerie, shadowy figures and twisted shapes. Experts who analyzed her work believed the change reflected deep anxiety and fear. But what was causing this sudden shift? Was Emily trying to tell someone something through her art? The mystery deepened when the police found a hidden compartment behind one of her studio walls. Inside was a small, battered notebook. The pages were filled with Emily's handwriting, notes about secret meetings and strange encounters with unknown people. She wrote about feeling followed and being forced to make difficult choices. Names appeared repeatedly, but none of them were familiar to her friends or family. The notebook was like a coded message, a desperate attempt to record dangers no one else knew about. One of the most chilling discoveries came from security camera footage taken near Emily's home. Days before her disappearance, a shadowy figure was seen lurking at odd hours, sometimes watching the house from a distance, other times slipping just out of view. The figure's identity was obscured by a hood and darkness, but the careful movements suggested someone who knew exactly where to be and when. Whoever it was had a chilling patience, waiting for the perfect moment to make a move. The community began to whisper about paranoia and suspicion. Who could be watching Emily so closely? Could the threat come from someone close, or was it a stranger? Friends of Emily recalled strange phone calls she had answered late at night, but when pressed for details, they admitted they never dared to ask what was wrong. Was Emily protecting someone, or hiding something she feared would destroy her reputation if revealed? More unsettling was the discovery that Emily had tried to contact a private investigator weeks before her disappearance. It seemed she sensed the danger growing, but the investigator's records were incomplete, and attempts to reach him now led nowhere. Had Emily uncovered something so dangerous that she couldn't trust anyone? As the days passed, the police pieced together a timeline of Emily's last known movements. On the evening she vanished, she had met with someone at a nearby cafe, someone she never told anyone about. The meeting was brief but intense, and after it Emily appeared visibly shaken. The following hours were a mystery, with no confirmed sightings until her disappearance was reported. Every new clue only added to the confusion. The small town that once felt safe now seemed full of secrets and hidden threats. The people who thought they knew Emily best began to question their memories. Had she really been the woman they admired, or had she lived a double life, caught in a web of danger? The notebook, the letters, the shadowy figure, all pointed to one undeniable truth. Emily Harper's disappearance was not a random event. It was part of something far more sinister, something that reached beyond the quiet streets of her town. And as the investigators dug deeper into the shadows of her life, they found themselves drawn into a mystery that threatened to unravel everything they thought was real. With every step, the danger grew, and the question remained, what had Emily uncovered, and who would stop at nothing to keep it hidden? The investigation had reached a turning point no one saw coming. Just when the town was grasping for answers, the police arrested Mark Davis, Emily Harper's neighbor and someone everyone trusted. The news spread like wildfire, shaking the community to its core. Mark was known for his quiet, unassuming presence. He mowed lawns for neighbors, helped carry groceries, and had always been friendly. almost too friendly. His reputation was spotless, making the accusations against him feel like a cruel twist of fate. The evidence that brought Mark under suspicion was chilling. Forensic experts found traces of his DNA inside Emily's home, in places he had no reason to be. More damning was a set of muddy footprints matching the unique soles of his shoes, leading from the back door toward the spot where Emily was believed to have vanished. It was as if Mark had stepped from neighborly kindness into something far darker. But even as the evidence stacked up, no one could understand the motive. What could have driven Mark Davis, a man who seemed so ordinary, to harm Emily Harper? Friends and neighbors struggled to reconcile the image of the gentleman they knew with the possibility he was a killer. Some whispered about jealousy or an obsession. Maybe Mark had feelings for Emily. She never returned. Yet nothing concrete emerged to explain his sudden descent into darkness. During the early days of the investigation, police uncovered a hidden side of Mark's life. Secret phone calls and text messages hinted at a man wrestling with inner demons. Investigators found emails to anonymous contacts with desperate pleas for help and cryptic references to losing control. It painted a picture of someone fragile, perhaps unstable, but still. The leap from inner struggle to murder was baffling. The trial began, and the courtroom became a stage for the town's heartbreak and confusion. Evidence was presented piece by piece, showing a man who had carefully planned his moves, trying to erase his tracks, but leaving enough behind to be caught. Prosecutors argued Mark's obsession with Emily had grown dangerous, fueled by rejection and loneliness. Yet defense lawyers fought back fiercely, pointing out gaps in the evidence and suggesting Mark was being framed. Someone else with a hidden agenda might have used him as a scapegoat. As the trial unfolded, shocking details came to light. Mark had been seen arguing with Emily in public just days before she disappeared, though witnesses couldn't say what the argument was about. Some remembered seeing him follow her at a distance, his face tense and unreadable. But then there were odd inconsistencies, security footage that seemed to have been tampered with, missing hours on Mark's phone records, and a mysterious figure spotted near his house around the time of Emily's vanishing. The possibility that Mark was not acting alone, or not acting at all, gnawed at everyone's minds. Was this man truly guilty? Or was he caught in a sinister game bigger than anyone imagined? Could someone be orchestrating events from behind the scenes, using Mark as a pawn to deflect suspicion? The trial brought a wave of unease to the town. People began to question everything, even their own memories. Had they missed signs? Were their neighbors really who they seemed? Rumors swirled, friendships strained, and the sense of security that once held the community together crumbled. The case was no longer just about Emily and Mark. It had become a tangled web of secrets, lies, and deception. As the courtroom drama reached a fever pitch, a twist emerged that stunned everyone. A new piece of evidence appeared. An encrypted message on Emily's laptop, found only after Mark's arrest. The message was a warning, addressed to someone named R. It spoke of betrayal, danger, and a plan that would change everything. Suddenly, the investigation was no longer about one man's guilt or innocence. It was about uncovering the true puppet master behind a deadly game. And the question that haunted everyone was whether justice would ever be served, or if the truth was slipping further away into the shadows. Just as the town began to brace itself for what seemed like the end of the nightmare, new evidence shattered the fragile calm and sent shockwaves through the entire investigation. The arrest of Mark Davis had felt like closure. But it quickly became clear that the truth was far more complicated and far darker than anyone had imagined. It started with an anonymous tip, a cryptic message sent to the police that pointed them toward a hidden world beneath the town's polished surface. The investigators followed the lead to a secret underground network, a shadowy group involved in illegal art theft, blackmail, and manipulation. This was no ordinary crime ring. It was highly organized, ruthless, and deeply connected to powerful people who could move in the daylight world without raising suspicion. Emily Harper, it seemed, had stumbled into this dangerous underworld. While preparing for her latest art exhibition, she had discovered clues, hidden symbols in artwork, coded messages in gallery transactions, and whispers of deals made in secret. Her talent had allowed her to see things others missed, but it also made her a threat to those who wanted to keep their crimes hidden. The police uncovered encrypted emails on Emily's computer and found evidence that she had been gathering proof of the network's activities, planning to expose them. It was a dangerous move, one that put her squarely in the crosshairs of the criminals. Suddenly, her disappearance wasn't just about a personal mystery. It was part of a calculated effort to silence her. The mastermind behind the network was a figure no one had suspected, a respected art dealer known for his charm and generosity, someone who had always appeared above suspicion. His name carried weight in the community, and his galleries were celebrated. But behind the smiles and accolades was a ruthless operator who used his position to hide illegal dealings, manipulating artists and clients alike. When the investigators confronted this man, his carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Under pressure, witnesses came forward, revealing a pattern of threats and intimidation aimed at those who got too close to the truth. Emily, it turned out, had been warned multiple times to stop asking questions. She had refused. The chilling reality was that Emily's murder had been orchestrated to protect this secret empire. The shadowy figure had ordered her elimination, using Mark Davis as an unwitting pawn to take the blame. Mark's obsession and instability made him the perfect scapegoat, easy to frame, difficult to defend. As the network was exposed, the town was rocked by betrayal on a scale no one could have imagined. People who had once trusted their neighbors, their leaders, now felt betrayed by those they had admired. The investigation revealed a deep rot beneath the surface, where power and greed had corrupted even the most respected. But the story didn't end with the arrest of the mastermind. There were still questions about how far the corruption reached, whether others were involved, and how many more secrets were buried in the shadows. The police knew they were only scratching the surface, and the danger was far from over. Emily's hidden journal, recovered from the investigation, offered clues to the network's reach. It described coded meetings, secret locations, and a list of names, people who had benefited from the crimes and those who had paid the price for silence. Each page turned revealed new horrors, but also a glimmer of hope that justice could prevail. For Emily's family and the community, the revelations were a bitter mix of relief and heartbreak. The truth finally came out, but it was a truth that exposed the darkness lurking beneath their everyday lives. Emily's courage to uncover the conspiracy cost her everything, yet her story became a beacon, a warning to others who dared to speak out. As the trial of the mastermind began, the town watched closely, hoping for closure, but fearing the possibility that some wounds might never heal. The journey to justice was far from over, and the shadows that Emily had fought to expose still lingered, waiting for the next secret to be uncovered. The arrest of the mastermind brought a momentary sense of relief to the town, but it was a relief tinged with sorrow and unanswered questions. Justice seemed within reach, yet the scars left by Emily Harper's murder ran deep, echoing far beyond the courtroom walls. As the trial unfolded, the community grappled with a painful truth, that even the safest places could harbor darkness, and that sometimes the cost of uncovering the truth was heartbreak. Emily's family faced the unbearable weight of loss every day. Her daughter, once a joyful child, now moved through the world with a quiet sadness that no one could soothe. Yet amid their grief, a spark of determination flickered. Inspired by her mother's bravery, the young girl began to tell Emily's story, sharing what she knew about the woman who had fought to expose the evil hidden beneath their town's surface. Her voice, fragile but unwavering, touched hearts around the world and reminded everyone that Emily was more than a victim. She was a symbol of courage. The town, once united by fear and suspicion, slowly started to heal. But healing was complicated. Old friendships were strained beyond repair, and some residents moved away, able to bear the memories. New leaders emerged, promising transparency and protection, vowing to ensure that such darkness could never take root again. Community meetings were held, discussions sparked, and slowly the fabric of trust began to mend, stitch by fragile stitch. Yet beneath the surface, questions lingered like shadows that refused to fade. Was every piece of the network truly uncovered? Had all the accomplices been brought to justice? Rumors whispered of other players, people still free and watching from the shadows, waiting for a chance to strike again. The town's police force intensified their efforts, determined to leave no stone unturned. But the fear remained, that the wounds left by Emily's murder might never fully close. The courtroom drama itself was a spectacle of revelations and heartbreak. Witnesses testified about the hidden world Emily had dared to confront, painting a picture of a woman far braver than anyone had imagined. The mastermind, once so composed, showed cracks in his armor as the evidence piled up. His cold, calculated facade finally shattered when confronted with undeniable proof. Emails, financial records, and testimonies that linked him directly to the crime and the sinister network. The judge's verdict came after weeks of tense deliberation: guilty. The word echoed through the courtroom, a small victory against the darkness. But for Emily's loved ones, the sentence was both a relief and a reminder of what was lost. No punishment could bring her back, no justice could erase the pain of that night. In the aftermath, Emily's story became a beacon for others facing danger. Her art, once a private passion, was displayed in exhibitions dedicated to truth and courage. Artists, activists, and ordinary citizens found inspiration in her legacy, using their voices to challenge corruption and injustice. The town's memorial for Emily became a place of reflection, where people came not only to mourn, but to promise vigilance against the shadows still. The mystery of Emily's final days remained a haunting question. What had she discovered in those last moments? Were there secrets she never had time to reveal? As her daughter grew older, she vowed to uncover every piece of her mother's story, to ensure that the truth would not be buried alongside her. The heartbreaking murder that shocked the world was more than a crime. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of safety, the power of secrets, and the enduring strength of those who refuse to be silenced. Emily Harper's life and death became a symbol, a call to remember that justice is a journey, not a destination, and that even in the darkest times, courage can light the way.